What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today I wanted to do a quick video just talking about something that I've been seeing float around on my channel, as well as tons of other YouTubers' channels, for quite some time with Modern Warfare. And the common trends of these comments is, oh my god, I wish I had lobbies that were this easy, or are you playing against bots? And by bots, they mean like really bad players. Essentially, these comments appear to be trying to call YouTubers out for exploiting matchmaking in some way, or they're just trying to devalue the accomplishments within the gameplay that they're seeing by implying that the only reason they're doing so well and the only reason they look so good is because they're playing against terrible players. Now, I did want to address this just because I've been seeing it pop up more and more lately, and I've gotten kind of sick of responding to each one individually, and I just thought it would be a nice topic to talk about. But I find it kind of funny that a lot of these comments are on videos where the gameplay is in Ground War. Now, within Modern Warfare, I can actually understand these comments when it comes to 6v6 or 10v10 gameplay, because in those modes, there is strict skill-based matchmaking. It is the most strict we've seen probably ever in Call of Duty. Arguably, maybe Advanced Warfare was just as strict, but I don't think so personally. I do think this is the most strict skill-based matchmaking we've seen. And as a result, if you're seeing somebody with insane gameplay in 6v6 or 10v10, there is actually a chance that that player did exploit the matchmaking in some way in order to end up in lobbies that they shouldn't be in if they were just naturally searching for matches. Now, there's plenty of methods to exploit this, like you could have a dummy account where you have that dummy account search for a game and then you join them in session, and that way the matchmaking system doesn't take your stats into account at all when searching for that game. It only looks at your dummy account with horrible stats. Or another thing that anybody can do without having a second account and a second PS4 would be to simply join the person that performs the worst after every single game that you play, and you'll slowly work your way to the easier and easier lobbies if you do that. This is a method that I'm sure plenty of YouTubers do actually use, and I've talked about this a little bit before. I personally don't do that. That's one of the reasons you don't see 6v6 or 10v10 gameplay too often on the channel, but when you do, I can assure you I didn't exploit matchmaking in any way. Those were lobbies I just naturally got into. It's also worth noting that most of those gameplays are very few and far between within 6v6 and 10v10 because of the skill-based matchmaking. So even though they might look like easy lobbies, just keep in mind I probably had to play through 5 or 6 difficult lobbies to randomly end up in that one where I happen to go off and get a gameplay-worthy game. But most of the time on the channel, you see Ground War because as a YouTuber, I'm expected to have a certain level of gameplay. And when you show a gameplay against similarly skilled players where you're just barely getting more kills than deaths, for instance, then people just call you out for being a horrible player, not realizing that you're playing against similarly skilled players. So as YouTubers, it's absolutely in our best interest to get the best gameplay possible for you guys. And since I refuse to exploit matchmaking, this is why you tend to see Ground War gameplay. Now, as far as the YouTubers that do exploit this, I'm not going to call anybody out or name any names or anything. I totally understand why they do it, especially if they're a pub stomping YouTuber where the whole reason people watch their channel is to see insane things like really fast nukes, for instance, or nuke gameplays with really weird setups. I get why they do it. The demand is there to see that, and they are supplying it. In those cases, I absolutely understand when people want to call them out for potentially reverse boosting or exploiting matchmaking in some way. But the main thing I wanted to talk about, because this is what I see on my channel most of the time, is when the gameplay is Ground War and people say stuff like, I wish I had lobbies as easy as yours, because I find that to be hilarious. As far as anybody can tell, Ground War has no apparent skill-based matchmaking whatsoever. I've tested this myself in an anecdotal fashion at least. The amount of data you'd have to collect there would be ridiculous. But when I play 6v6 modes on my main account versus my dummy testing account that I've purposely kind of destroyed the stats of to test skill-based matchmaking in the past, the difference is absolutely night and day. It really does feel like going from playing veteran bots to recruit bots. However, when I try playing Ground War on either of the accounts, it feels exactly the same. There is no noticeable difference whatsoever in the overall skill levels of the enemies I'm running into. Plus, when you think about just how many people you have to get into a lobby for Ground War, and how fast the lobbies tend to get together, if there were strict skill-based matchmaking, it would take so much longer than it currently does to get full lobbies together, and those lobbies would never stay full if you're significantly above average, for instance, because it just wouldn't be able to find people to fill that lobby that are within your skill range. So the big message that I have for those people that are wondering why the lobbies are so easy, or why am I always playing against really low-skilled players in Ground War, the answer to this is quite simple. First off, obviously, we're going to be selecting games and clips where we did well. I don't record gameplays where I do average and nothing really exceptional happens, so of course you're going to see some of the better clips and the better gameplays that I get. But more importantly, it doesn't appear there is any way to manipulate the matchmaking algorithm or anything like that when it comes to Ground War modes. So if you're playing Ground War and you can't seem to find those potatoes that us YouTubers and streamers tend to find in our gameplays, you might be one of those potatoes. Now that might sound kind of harsh, and I mean everybody's plays at a different skill level, and I'm not trying to talk down to the people that aren't very good at the game and trying to learn the game. That's one of the reasons this channel exists, is to help people get better. But that message is geared more towards the people that are trying to call me out for my gameplay or question how I get my gameplay in Ground War. As far as I'm aware, there's no way whatsoever to exploit matchmaking in Ground War. I can't even turn off cross-platform plays, so you can't have the platform excuse either and say that I only get easy lobbies because I'm playing on PlayStation. Because that's not true. I'm playing against PC players and Xbox players as well. And on top of that, I'm back and forth between Norway and Canada a lot. So I've even had people say that, oh, you only get easy lobbies because you're in North America when I'm in Norway, or vice versa. I'm in Canada right now, and some people will say, oh, you only get good gameplay because you're over in Norway, but they don't realize I'm in Canada. So if you're one of those people that's calling out YouTubers for their gameplay within Ground War modes, and you're wondering why your enemies don't look as easy as we make them look, you might want to take a look at your own gameplay. You might not be as good as you think you are. And that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover in today's video. It might come off as me being a little bit salty. I'm not really salty about it. I just wanted to share my side of things, and now I have a video that I can just link those people to anytime they question my Ground War gameplay. Additionally, I do think this is a good lesson and reminder for some people as well that it is important, if you're trying to improve at something, to reflect on your own performance and not look outward and try and make excuses for why other people are performing well. If you're constantly using the excuse of, they were only able to do this because of this, you're never going to get better at the game, because in saying that, you're implying that there's no way that you can get any better. There's nothing you can learn from those people, because they just must be cheating or finding some way to exploit something, and that's the only reason they're better than you. This type of mindset completely destroys any sort of self-improvement. This applies to many areas of your life as well, but we're a gaming channel, we'll focus on the gaming part of it. Don't make excuses for why other people are performing better than you. Learn what you can from them, focus on your own performance, and eventually you'll be able to get to the point where you make an average player look like a complete potato. If you enjoyed this completely different style of video from me, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.